welcome back to another one. I want to make a quick kind of initial impressions video of the new C8 Corvette that actually came out, I guess, a couple nights ago. At the time of filming this, I think it came out about 48 hours ago. The C8 Corvette is something that's been in the works for a very long time, and there's been rumors of a mid-engine for a long time. There's been a bunch of prototypes and experiments and, you know, trying to get to where they can make a production version of it. And, you know, the Corvette is one of the most iconic cars ever created, ever. I mean, everyone knows what a Corvette is. Even if you don't like cars, you know what a Corvette is. And so it's kind of a risky move to change that. You know, they've always, of course, they've evolved and, you know, improved and looked a little bit different over time. But the overall look and shape of a Corvette has always been the same. You know, you sit very far back in the car, you have this long hood in front of you with this big V8 under it, and it's real low to the ground, super aerodynamic looking, and that's just what the Corvette has always been. And they're really changing it up, shaking it up with this mid-engine to look different. It's just a totally different car. It's no longer like an evolution of the last Corvette. It's a complete change and completely moving on to a new vehicle, a new type of vehicle. And you know, I haven't really been sold on everything that I've seen up until now with all the spy shots and everything, which I've never seen spy shots of anything, I don't think, that I thought, wow, that looks badass. You know, because they intentionally put some super, like, not awesome wheels on there and camo it up and don't put all the cool, like, aero stuff on there. You know, they try and make the car look as, like, least appealing as possible. You know, so when they reveal it, it's a big, like, oh, you know, that's amazing. It's much different than what you've seen before. So I wasn't sold up until then. But the idea of it, I'm on board with. I think it's very cool. I think it's a cool step in a cool direction. Now, you know, I drive a Mustang. I'm a Ford guy, but I'm not anti anything else. I love cars. I'm just passionate about cars and pushing cars forward into the next level. And so I fully support this. I love Chevy. I love Corvette. I hope to one day own a Corvette. I want a Z06. That's one of my favorite cars. So you know, I don't have anything against it. And I'm fully with the step in this direction. I think it's a great step. I think it's a ballsy step, but I think it's very cool, and I think it's, you know, they're kind of spearheading maybe the movement for these other, you know, American muscle cars to look in this direction. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe this is the only car that's ever going to head in this direction, because it's really the only car that is ever trying to compete with supercars as far as like the Mustang, the Camaro, and stuff like that. So they may stay the same, but I think it's cool that Chevy's taking a step in that direction, really going into untreaded waters here, you know, with this mid-engine Corvette. So I think it's cool. I support the idea. Initial impressions from what I saw, I like it. I think it looks really cool from the outside. It looks sleek. It looks aerodynamic. That's something that still has in common with the previous generation Corvettes, is they always look sleek, they always look aerodynamic, they always look just light on their feet, you know, just fast. They've always looked fast. And while this is a different Corvette, it still looks fast, and therefore it might, you know, maybe it still looks like a Corvette. I don't know. It has, you know, some of the taillights, you can tell it's not the same carried over. It's not the same. Everything's different. In fact, I saw somewhere that said only one piece was carried over from previous generations Corvette. One piece. So they truly built this from the ground up, which I think is amazing. I think that's so cool. And so it looks fast. There's some stuff that you can tell, like, okay, that looks Corvette-ish, but it doesn't, the car as a whole doesn't look the same at all, you know. But it looks sleek, it looks fast, it looks aerodynamic, it looks, you know, light on its toes. The specs, I think it's 490 horsepower, 470 foot-pound of torque, if I'm just guessing, or not guessing, but remembering off the top of my head. And I guess you get 495 with the sport exhaust, whatever that means. I'll be honest, when I first saw those numbers, I was a little, man, in the fours, like it seemed low to me. But then when you start thinking about it, this isn't the next ZR1, this isn't the next Z06, this isn't the next top-of-the-line Corvette, this is the next generation of Corvettes. This is the next Stingray. This is the next, you know, like the C7s. This is the C8. It's not the new top-of-the-line flagship Corvette they're releasing. It's the new generation of Corvettes they're releasing. So for 495 horsepower to be your entry level, into this new generation, I think that's actually really good. When I sat and thought about it for longer, I became more impressed the more I thought about it. And for it to start at 60 grand, for it to be a supercar, you know, that's what it's going after. That's what it's trying to compete with, is the supercar. For $60,000, name another supercar that you can buy for $60,000. And it, you know, if you can name one, it's got to be older with a bunch of miles, or you know, it's not new. It's going to compete with cars that are 2 and 3, 4 times the price tag of this thing, which is another thing that's just astounding to me. That's amazing. I thought this thing was going to be 100 grand starting, to be honest. I mean, I thought it was going to be a $100,000 car at least. And to know that you can go pick this up for the price of a Hellcat now, a ZL1. Do you want a Hellcat, a ZL1, or do you want the C8 mid-engine supercar rivaling Corvette? You know, it's just, you know, when you start looking at the price tag of 60 grand and you start looking at what you can get for that amount of money, it's crazy that this is something that you can get for that. I don't know. I mean, give me that mid-engine all day. You know, I think it'd be very cool to own one of those at some point. So, a couple things I'm not so on board with. One, the square exhaust pipes to me have always been weird. I don't like that in anything. I don't like that in the Challengers. I don't like that in any car. The square, you know, just the square tips. I don't know. Doesn't look like, I don't like that. And maybe they're just trying to just go with the shape of the car and stuff. I don't know. I don't really like the way that looks. And the interior, to me, I will straight up say I don't like it. I don't think the steering wheel, I know it's kind of pointed like this, and they set it so you could see over the hood. You know, it's not obstructing any views. I think it's just ugly. But I thought the 6th gen Camaro steering wheel was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen when it first came out, and it's grown on me a little bit, so maybe it'll grow on me. The whole, how everything is lined up in a line, I assume that's all climate control, driving modes, all that stuff. That, to me, is straight up ugly. I know they're trying to make this like a cockpit view, like, you know, surrounded by, you know, that's how the C7s felt also. Everything was geared towards the driver. Even the screen was tilted towards the driver. As a passenger, you really felt, you know, like you're not a part of the driving experience, you're a part of the riding experience, but everything is geared towards the driver. And it really feels, I mean, even more ramped up in the C8 from what I can see. I don't like the inside. I think it's something that's gonna grow on me, just like everything does. I think I'll grow to like it. I think it's one of these things where also in person, it's gonna look 100 times better. I think it's gonna be pretty mind-blowing in person. So I'm trying to hold my thoughts, you know, too much for what I see on the internet and pictures and stuff like that. The interior, I'm just not really on board with. It just does not look, it doesn't look integrated, and you know, it just looks like the screen's just there. It's not really integrated into the dash, and the row of buttons just looks like something out of a spaceship, and not really in a good way. And the steering wheel is just the weirdest shape I've ever seen. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see the inside in person to really, you know, this is not my final thoughts on the car. It's my initial impressions, and initial impressions, the inside's just not got it going on, but we'll see. You know, it kind of depends on the materials, how it feels, the quality, all that stuff also. So the inside could grow. I guess the other thing I will say is, people that don't like the look of this car, think of any car that you didn't like when it first came out, and then you see it on the road a bunch, you see it after a while, and give it some time, and you eventually end up liking this car. And I think it's because sometimes a new thing can kind of be a shock to the system. But once you spend some time looking at it and really evaluating it, and you know, you develop a new opinion, you end up liking it. So sometimes, you know, manufacturers will release something and you think, what were they thinking? That's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And you got to realize they've spent, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of hours, you know, with this vehicle. I mean, more than probably tens of thousands of hours with this vehicle, looking at it, evaluating it, trying to make it look the best that they can. So they've gotten over, you know, they didn't ever have that shock to the system moment where they're like, wow, that doesn't look good. They've spent time with it, and to now to them it looks good. So I think what they see when they release something is what they hope that you'll end up seeing, you know, eventually. So for everyone that doesn't like it, just give it time. You know, I think, you know, once see it in person, try and drive one. I think when you see it in person, it's really going to change your mind. I know that I can name a ton of cars that I did not like in the pictures, and I saw it in person and I was immediately, okay, no, this is a super badass car. So give it some time. Don't hate on it right out of the gate. Just, you know, I don't know. I'm excited to see these things on the road. I'm excited to hopefully drive one at some point. So that's gonna do it for today's video. Just wanted to throw those initial impressions out, join the crowd. Everyone's giving it. You might not care about my opinion. You know, I'm still gonna put it out there. So if you like anything I said, if you thought I hit some good points, let me know. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If some stuff I missed, you know, let me know that too. I didn't go super detailed into specs and stuff like that. I guess the other thing I'll throw out is they said 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. That's incredible. For your entry-level car, for $60,000 supercar rival, it's, you know, entry-level Stingray to be sub 3 seconds, 0 to 60, that's incredible. The dual clutch transmission, I'm kind of glossing over this. I would just give him more of my thoughts on it. I don't care that there's no manual. I drive a manual now. I like it, but you know, if you want a manual, go, you know, you can still go get an old Z06, you know, still go get an old Corvette. There's still a market there for those cars, for the guys that want a manual vehicle, or the people that want a manual. You can still go get a manual. You know, don't be mad. This car's about speed. It's about supercar rivals. The cars it's competing against don't offer manuals either, for the most part. So, you know, if you're trying to compete with something, you're gonna try and do what they're doing. And all these cars are going to the dual clutch. It's just faster, and it's still fun. It's still cool. Dual clutches are awesome. So don't be mad about no manual. Go get your old Z06. You know, it shouldn't hinder the way you look at this vehicle, I don't think. So no manual, whatever. Sub 3 seconds, 0 to 60 is absolutely just ludicrous. That is fast. So I like this car. I'm on board. I can't wait to start seeing them along the road and everything. But let me know your thoughts, your comments, you know, what you think about this car. Are you getting one? Let me know that. Leave a comment. Let's start a conversation. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate you being here if you are. Thanks again. I'll see y'all next time.